Welcome to the Apex eSports League Formula Rookie Cup for Project Cars 2 on the PS4. Tonight we have round 3. We head over to Belgium to race at Zolder. So it is a 5-round series for this championship, and so far we've had a 0 leading the way in the championship. So tonight we have 2 sessions. First session we have a 15-minute practice, weather is medium cloud. Qualifying is 15 minutes, weather is heavy cloud. And then the sprint race is 10 laps, weather is medium cloud, there's no mandatory pit. Then we'll have about a 9-minute break and then head off into session 2. So then we'll be heading into a 15-minute qualifier. Weather is medium cloud to clear. Then the main race is 20 laps, weather is clear to light cloud with a mandatory pit. And then last week we saw a 0 take a double win yet again, so that's now putting a very strong lead on the championship. So he's leading over Demon Effects from 268 points to 193. So the rest of the leaderboard going down is looking pretty tight. So Gowan 350 sitting at 163 points, Sami 142, Kakadu at 133, and Joanna on 120, and Santi not too far behind at 114. Tonight we don't have Kakadu, and so far Joanna not with us. Kakadu won't be making it for the rest of the series, so opportunity for some movement on the board. And we saw in the sprint race, after 0 taking the win and the pole position, he ended up having Gallon 350 take the fastest lap, and then Demon Effects took the fastest lap in the main race. Over into pit lane now. Slightly smaller field at the moment. Hopefully we may get a few later joiners. I think we are missing a couple from the lobby at the moment. Maybe some technical issues going on. And there's a 0, our championship leader. A 0 has taken 3 pole positions so far out of the 2 rounds. His average qualifying position is 2nd. He's had 4 race wins. So his average race position, of course, is taking the top of the podium. So can he do it yet again tonight? Get a double pole and double victory. We'll make our way through the list. Oh, Gallon's gone off track just before the chicane. Dave the Demon Effects is coming 2nd in the championship. So he's got 193 points. He's had no pole positions. His average qualifying position is 3rd. Had no race wins, but he's taken 2 2nd places and a 3rd, so that's averaging him in his finish position as 3rd place. So he's still a force to be reckoned with in the championship. Some poorer results by a 0 could easily see Demon Effects catch up and take a lead in the championship. And then as we do approach the final round, in the main event for the final round, it's just the 1 race. It is worth the big points, so could see some movement potentially change at that stage in the game. And Gallon coming 3rd in the championship is currently sitting on 163 points. So he's taken 1 pole position. His average qualifying position is 3rd. He's taken no victories, 1 2nd place, 2 2nd places, and he's averaging a 3rd place in race position, so about 53 points per race. So it's slightly higher than what Demon Effects is averaging points of 48, and we did have a disconnect occur with Gallon as well, so still a lot of potential for Gallon to move up on the board yet as well. Last week we saw Sami have quite a big incident. So he took some big damage in the, I think it was the second race. And he got clipped from behind and we saw him go flying high into the sky. It was a complete wreck to his car. They forced him to retire out of the race. Otherwise, we've seen some very good driving from Sami. He's had one spot on the podium so far, taking a second, so he's had a bit of bad luck with incidents. He's averaging 36 points a race, so hopefully some better luck for him this time around. To Slappy Kiwi. And I can bring up, so last week we had him qualify 11th from place 11th in the sprint race, and then we saw him qualify 12th and finish 11th in the main race. And Slappy did join later, only just in round 2. So he's only averaging 18 points per race. And first time's coming on the board now. A 0 coming through. The quickest time so far in the practice. That's a 1:51.99. Ooh, and DG just goes off track. Not sure if he's made some wall contact. I think he's pulled that back in time. Looks to have escaped some damage. DG debuting with Apex eSports League this series. I've seen some very good performance improvements throughout the 2 rounds already, so it'll be very interesting to see how he goes tonight. So he's averaging 21 points a race. Hopefully we'll see him up towards the top of the field tonight. There's a couple of incidents. Zolder, he's brought the car in. Camera angles will take a little while to change over on this track. Over to Jeffries as well, who's debuted with us. We missed him last week. No, actually no, he was with us last week, so he qualified 10th in the main race. Finished 10th position. And then the sprint race. Yes, Jeffries missed out on the first session, so he wasn't there for the sprint race last week. So that would be hurting him points-wise. But Jeffries coming 9th in the championship with 75 points. So Strasbourg and Bertie and Tarex sitting very close behind, within 10 points behind him. And then just ahead of him is DG0787 on 82 points. So DG having a lead of 7 points over him. So Jeffries will have to try and see if he can make sure he finishes ahead of DG to be able to steal away position on the championship ladder. Disfigured Skull was potentially not going to be able to make it for the first session, was going to join us for the second session, but was managed to be able to make it tonight, so it's good that we'll have him for both. And he's had a bit of bad luck with some incidents so far as well, and he's debuted with us for this championship as well. So hopefully as we approach into other championships we see Disfigured jump across. I've picked the wrong car there, that we're on to Weaven. So Weaven is a regular racer. He's been unable to race for a little while. He's been jumping in with our Tuesday night series for some short racing on iRacing. And he's managed to be able to get back on. He's been in all of our championships throughout most of the year, or past 12 months anyway. He's only been going since April last year. So we welcome Weaven back. Probably not, I don't think he's done a lot of practice in it. That's very different to what he usually drives. It's a bit of learning for him in the car at the moment. He's going to have to take the most of the practice session, try and fine-tune that car. Our drivers are usually pretty good with each other and usually sharing setups. So I'm sure a setup would have been shared with him, and hopefully that will be able to give him a bit of an advantage to try and make up for some time on trying to get the hang of this car. If you're joining us for our stream, don't forget to hit that follow button. There's also our social media links down below as well, so you can head to our YouTube channel. It has all our past broadcasts saved onto there for when Twitch removes our streams afterwards. And following us here on Twitch will make sure you get notified when we do go live. And you can head to our Facebook page, and you don't need to be on Facebook to actually be able to view it. And you can actually just jump in and check out and see what our race results are and incident reports from all of our sessions. Last week there was a penalty given out. So we had 2 penalties given. So that was Gina 07 received a penalty, and also Strasbourg. So a couple of rear endings happening, going a bit too hot into the corners. And one of those incidents was the big one that we saw Sami get his car completely destroyed. So Zero still with the fastest time at the moment. That's a 1:48.714. Demon Effects a couple of seconds behind just about. He's sitting with a 1:50.093, but not much difference between him and Gallen. So Gallen tailing behind by only 0.7 of a second. And then Sami a second slower than that. And Weaven doing quite well considering he's had no practice in these things. And coming in with a 1:54. Jeffrey's also doing well with a 1:57, and he's just improved his last lap, or last fastest lap, should I say. And then Slappy Kiwing off into the pits at the moment. He's got a 1:59. Disfigured Soul with a 2 minute. And DG coming in with a 2 minutes 10. We did see him go off track and then bring the car back into the pits, so he's been out for a couple cold laps, so he hasn't had a chance to get some good hot laps in. There's 3 minutes left remaining of the practice, and then we'll be heading off into the qualifying session. It is custom setups for these cars. Oh, big broad slide by a Zero. And that's Weaven, he's catching up on, I'm pretty sure. Let's see if we can jump on board for a full lap with someone. He's just on approach. I'll do some quick ones. Okay, so we'll jump on board with Demon Effects. He's just gone through the first turn, so into turn 2. It's a very big sweeping corner, very broad. This track is very good for Formula type cars. It's actually one of my favourite tracks to drive, especially in these things. Big sweeping corner as well. You get a fair bit of drift, power on straight out to that outside curb. And down into the chicanes for turn 3. You can get a golden line straight through the middle there. Someone has already gone off a couple of times. There's some debris on the track and one of the bollards has been moved. Halfway through sector 2 into the next chicanes. A bit more tricky. Some very big dips, which does not help with these cars being very low to the ground. Some good fast corners here again. Staying over the crest. So Simpson's just joined us back in. And then down onto the last straight, some good fast corners, and then some big heavy braking for a little chicane down into the last turn. So heavy under the brakes here, pull it up in time. Simo having some disconnection issues. Out nice and wide onto that curb, and then right across onto pit lane. Ready to get a nice line. It can go quite quick along here. Just feathering it through. Big broad slide, a little too quick for him, but he brings that through just in time. And there we are, a lap around Zolder. Big cackle as he downshifts into second. That was quite a good lap for Demon Effects. So he's currently sitting on with a 1:49.214. And that was the lap he just set, so it was a pretty quick lap and a couple little mistakes. So a big chance for improvement there. I think we could definitely see him getting to that 1:48 mark and see him have a good crack at a zero's time. Gallon, if he's correcting a little bit of oversteer there, or if he's just trying to get some extra heat into those tyres, I think he's getting some temp into those tyres. 14 seconds remaining. We're going to bring that into the pit, so it usually gives us a bit of a smoke show. These things aren't as easy to do it in. Army running it up. Down pit straight. Last lap for him. So we have 70 seconds left for drivers to get their last laps in. Should be enough time for Jeffries to get his last lap in. I think that's Disfigured Soul just behind him potentially. And DG did improve. He's come through with a 1:53. Just slightly 2 positions ahead of Jeffries. So if Jeffries is looking to try and steal a position away from DG, he's got a bit of time to make up between him and DG. So DG with a 1:53.322 and Jeffries with a 1:57.277. 14 seconds remaining. All cars are complete, so that's it for the practice session. Must be someone joining. We are into the results for the practice session. A 1:43 taking the quickest lap in the practice session with a 1:48.167. Demon Effects 1 second difference between him with a 1:49.214, and then Gallon with a 1:49.782. But some pretty respectable times throughout the field. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how things go. So into qualifying now. When you join us for the stream as well, there are all sorts of sound effects controls down underneath the stream. You can play some various sound effects to complement all the events that's going on in the race. Be sure to have some fun and own the stream and become part of Apex's community by being interactive with the stream. And of course, I can see you on the chat as well, so be sure to say hello. Let us know who you think is going to take pole position here in this qualifying session and who you think potentially will take away the win. Will we see a common theme from a zero so far? It's been showing some very strong driving in these Formula rookies. If you're not too familiar with Project Cars 2, the Formula Rookies is just the unofficial version of the Formula Fords. And if you aren't aware of the Formula Fords, this is what they are. They're a load of fun to get out and drive in these things. They perform very different. They have no downforce. Oh, a bit of lag, and Simo's back in. So, managed to get back in, that is good. now 10 on the grid. Hopefully doesn't get any more issues going on. Looks like a bit of mess on the Zero's car, so he may have already gone off track or taken some damage. Yeah, so a fair few scrapes on his car already. And the drivers do need to be very cautious with these open wheelers, with racing close to each other. We've seen some big incidents happen with cars getting locked together. We saw Gina 07 and Kakadu 2 last week interlock and get stuck a couple of times and having to peel away. And then they did actually get stuck pretty good. It was actually more so of a game glitch. So cars did actually clip together and remain stuck until essentially both of those wings on the side just tore apart, and then they were able to peel away. And then the big incident that happened with Sami and Strasbourg. So Strasbourg came in hot behind Sami, and his front left wheel went straight under Sami's rear right wheel, and that just launched Sami's car straight up into the air. So they do drive over each other's tyres when they do get too close. That is what you have to be very cautious of when racing side by side. And then that was the incident that happened. Oh no, we've just lost a car. Not sure who it is that's dropped out. I think Slappy Kiwi. Let's see if he's disconnected or is this rejoining back in. Yes, Slappy Kiwi has disconnected. Hopefully he can get back in on time. He's got 11 minutes left of qualifying session to get in and be able to get out, get those tyres warm. Oh, and he wasn't ready for that. No worries, Slappy. Thankfully you can get it sorted in time to get a time on the board for the qualifying. If you're joining us for the stream and can see in the chat, Slappy Kiwi's just mentioned that he will be rejoining. He's just had to restart the game as his wheel was not connecting to it. Welcome, Majestic Jazzy Panda. Thanks for joining us for the stream. You are watching the Formula Rookie Cup for Apex eSports League. We're playing Project Cars 2 on the PS4. If you haven't yet hit that follow button, be sure to do so you can get notified when we do go live. And it'll be great to see some support for Apex eSports League and for all our drivers and members. So opening laps, Gallen's come through with a pretty tight time of 1:54.91. We had Zero still come through with the quickest time in the practice. And there's a Zero just ahead of Gallen. 9.5 minutes remaining. Hopefully Simo can get in. I'm good, thanks, Majestic. How are you? Oh, and Jeffries has taken a grid place penalty. So he's sped through pits. That's cost him 1 grid place, so he'll be starting 1 spot further down after getting a qualifying time. So he will be needing to get a quite strong qualifying result to be able to compensate for that 1 grid place. Drivers do need to ensure that they hit that pit speed limiter button for their car. Getting over the 60 kilometers an hour down pit lane. Oh, it's jumping around. That would be Simo rejoining the session. Yes, and yes, Simo is. It's unfortunately here, Majestic. Hopefully can chill and enjoy some good fast racing from these guys. There are a variety of sound controls down below the stream as well, so you can play some good sound effects and cheer on your the drivers and make some good funny sound effects for when there is accidents and the likes as well. So be sure to have some fun and own the stream. Gallon struggling with the car at the moment. I think he may have taken a little bit of damage coming out of that. Demon Effects quite conservative in his opening lap. Bit of debris through the chicane. Coming out onto pit straight. And Zero's come through with a 1:49.304, so he's very close with Gallon's time at the moment, only 0.073 difference between the two. We did just see a Zero take a 1:48 in the practice session, so I'm pretty sure he's got at least another half a second or more that he'll be able to shave off and get a pretty strong qualifying time. Gallon and Demon Effects, good opportunity to try and catch up and steal a pole position away. As I was mentioning, Zero has had a very strong start to the championship in the first rounds. So Zero has taken 3 pole positions out of the 4 qualifiers. His average qualifying position is 2. He's had 4 race wins, so he's won every race in the championship so far. He's a force to be reckoned with at the moment. Gallon and Demon Effects have been closely behind him throughout the first 2 rounds, and they're continuing to prove that as well. Oh, Gallon really struggling with his car in the qualifying at the moment. Not sure if it's a setup or a bit of focus at the moment for him. Demon Effects coming in with 1:50.736. That looks like Simo tucked in behind him. And Sami doing pretty well in 4th position currently with 1:51. So it's 2.3 seconds off the pace of a Zero. But I think he could easily shave off not even half a second, and that will get him down into the slow 150s. So a potential to have a crack at Demon Effects if he can shave off half a second. And Weaven, who we had missed for quite a while, so we haven't seen him this year, and he's been off and unable to race, so it's good to see him back racing in Project Cars 2 for Apex eSports League. He has jumped in the V8 Supercars for the iRacing series we have on Tuesday. And if you do join us for the streams and you're keen to get involved in any of our racing, we do race at 7:30 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Oh, a bit of a drift from Weaven. Oversteers out of that corner and then but brings it around just in time. So we do have iRacing series Tuesday nights. It only goes for an hour, so it's a lot of fun. We're doing the 8 Supercars series. And then of course Thursday nights. I think tonight is the Formula Rookie Cup. And then once this series concludes, we'll be heading off into a V8 Supercars series again. We're going to try and have those every 3 championships. They are very popular amongst our members. Simo Simsel coming through for 1:58. Him and Jeffrey's very close in times. It's only 0.016 of a difference between the two. And Jeffrey's does have that 1 grid place penalty, so he's needing to get a very strong result here. There's 4 minutes remaining of qualifying. And then we will be heading into our first race for tonight. 10 laps around Zolder. Cars are pretty spaced out at the moment for the qualifying, so not many cars being able to have an advantage of the slipstream. Being able to make the most of getting as much... a little bit of lag going on with Disfigured's car at the moment. There's a lot of skipping going around on the track. Hopefully no technical issues. Oh, and Jeffries has just moved up into 6th position, so that's going to be helpful with that one grid place penalty. And Slappy's brought that car into the pits and back out. He's got enough time to get out for another cold lap. He's going to have to try and get as much heat into those tyres over this first lap back out that he can really make the following lap count, as it's probably going to be the only shot he gets to improve that time of 2:05. Gallen's brought that car in. He's going to have to make some quick adjustments and then get that car back out quickly if he wants to have another crack at being able to beat a Zero's time of 1:48.276. That is super tight. It's almost breaking that 1:48 mark. I think it's very close to what he set in the practice session as well. So if you have been keeping up to date and watching our last 2 streams, seeing the Formula Rookies race last week for round 2 at the Nürburgring GP, and then the opening round at Brands Hatch GP. Zero has qualified pole in just about all of them except for one, but he has won every 2 races in each of those rounds. Now he's got 4 victories under his belt already. We're into round 3. Can he add another 2 tonight? We've been doing well considering he's jumped in late notice to have a crack at the Formula Rookies. He's not accustomed to the car. Hopefully he continues to do well. At the moment he's going to bring that car back into the pits. DJ doing well with 1:55, currently 6th. So Jeffries is now being pushed back. That will help if times remain the same. Disfigured will move up into 8th position, and that would see Jeffrey start from position number 9. Out of the pits, he's going to have to try and get this car as much heat. I don't think he's going to have enough time. He's got 45 seconds to wrap this lap up. He's not going to get time to get another lap in. Jeffries will have a chance. I think he can potentially finish this last sectors. I don't get sector splits in here, unfortunately. I don't have a race feed coming up that's accurate, so that doesn't help. And if you can try and get a bit of improvement, half a second, we'll see him move up and take away that 7th position from Simo Simsel. Qualifying is complete, so there is now 135 seconds remain to get last laps done. More than enough time to get a lap done. And they are setting 150s on average around Zolder. Nice line by Slappy. So he's just wrapping up sector 2, so see if we can get some sector data. No, it's too late. He's coming in. He may be able to improve this time. He's currently starting at the back of the field. Jeffries has moved up, so he's managed to get around for this lap. He's moved up into 6th. There's only Slappy Kiwi now out there to be able to move up, so that's good for Jeffries. He'll start from 7th and DG will move up. Will that have improved Slappy's position? He was starting at the back of the grid, and he had. Slappy has moved up 1 position. So for qualifying for the first race of round 3, we have a 0143 taking a pole position with a time of 1:48.276. Followed not too far behind, only 1 second difference, is Gallen 350 with a 1:49.345, and then Demon Effects with a 1:54.19 starting from 3rd position, followed by Sami, Weave and Jeffries. who is moving down from that one group place penalty. So he starts in position 7 and DG moves up into position number 6, and then followed by Simo Zimzel, Slappy Kiwi and Disfigured Soul. So heading over into the sprint race now. That is 10 laps around Zolder. Drivers have a couple of minutes to readjust their car setups. It is full custom setups for the cars, so drivers have full control over fuel loads, tyre pressures and tyre compounds and all the other bits and bobs for the car. Generally, they close up the opening for the radiators so that they can get as much advantage over removing any aero drag at all. It is at the cost of potentially wrecking the engine. However, just to get 4 or 5 laps out in a qualifying session with a very light load of fuel, it can get you a fair few seconds out of the car and gives you that advantage in qualifying. So that's when they now have to make sure they jump over and adjust those setups so that they don't run that qualifying setup, otherwise they will kill the car. Mechanical failures aren't active in the game, so it doesn't prevent you completely blowing an engine or losing tyres and not being able to get the car back to track. It just makes them lose power and very difficult to drive. So an accident won't be catastrophic and see them completely out of the race. They can limp that car back to the pits and at least try and finish the race. But we have some very good, respectful, clean drivers amongst FX eSports League. There is a very hefty penalty system for our drivers, so that is there to encourage good, clean sportsmanship throughout our series. And here we are, ready to go green. And away we go, and Azura gets off to a nice good start. Gallen is slightly off. Demon Effects is also slow to get away as well, so Sami's now side by side with Gallen, but I think his nose is just ahead Gallen, so he's just tucked in on for that inside line. It's a very fast first corner, and then also for the second. Azura gets away very quickly at the start. He does seem to have that advantage, and once Azura gets about a 2-second lead, that's when the slipstream advantage for anyone tailing behind him is going to be lost, and Azura, if having some very good consistent pace, can actually start to climb away from the rest of the field. So Gallen needs to ensure that he tries to stay on the tail of Azura for as long as possible, use that slipstream to get right on his tail, and then look to make a move or try and force an error out of Azura. So there's a bit of chaos going off towards the back. Bollards are gone, but I don't think there's been any contact, so it looks pretty safe so far. Slappy's just run off a little bit wide on that inside line. That's allowed Jeffries to get around as he's coming into the chicane. Weaving just ahead of him in that white car. And Gallen and Sami starting to close in on Azuro. He did have a good lead at that first corner, but that's starting to slip away now. Can these two try and catch up? We saw last week Demon Effects and Gallen both sitting very close to each other, trying to close that gap in on Demon Effects. There was a little bit of swapping and switchbacks between the two as they had different sector strengths, but in the end the two weren't able to be able to gain enough ground to start putting that pressure onto Azuro, so he got well and truly ahead by halfway through the race. If you're here for the stream, be sure to jump in on that chat and let us know who you think is going to win this. Will Azuro claim yet another victory? That will be his 5th consecutive victory, taking every race so far. Can Gallen or Sami have a go at it? And Demon Effects, not sure if he's taken some damage, so he's slipped right back down into 9th position. It doesn't appear to have taken any damage, so he may have just run wide, not sure what went on. Slappy Kiwi's just come out of the pits by the looks of things. So he's potentially jumped the gun at the start. So he may have had to serve a drive-through penalty. Bit of brake locking going on by Gallen's car. And Azuro is now only pushing that lead out to 2 seconds. Gallen's going to have to try and cover some ground pretty quick. Otherwise it's going to be very tough to try and catch up to Azuro and have a shot at taking a spot at the top of the podium. Asami also starting to slip behind Gallen as well. He needs to try and hone that gap in if he wants to potentially be able to catch up to the front as well. Time second penalties being given to Simo Simzel. Weaven 777 with a little experience in this car is up in 4th position, so recovered pretty well from qualifying midfield. And Jeffrey's doing well. He needs to try and finish ahead of DG0787 as his next in line. And I think DG did qualify in a stronger position. And Simo Simzel just behind Jeffries at the moment. So Simo Simzel already taken a 3-second slowdown penalty, and Disfigured Soul also with a 2 seconds. So 3 laps in, already some significant time penalties. This track is very strict for cutting those. Oh, that's Disfigured Soul's just gone off. That's unfortunate for him. I think he has hit that front nose into the wall. Stuck in reverse there. He's got to get the car back out. That's not allowing a big opportunity for Slappy Kiwi to recover after serving that drive-through penalty. So he's now only 3 seconds behind Disfigured Soul. Simo Simzel closing in. Oh, Jeffries is just cut that. He's going off to the side. He's slowing down. He's not going to be taking another time penalty. So not obeying by cutting that chicane there does serve that big time penalty. The same here as well. You need to be very detailed in taking that line. Gallen, I think, has made mistakes. That's allowed Sami to now close in. They are now 6 seconds behind Azuro. I think that's a good opportunity now for Azuro. If there's no mistakes made, this will be in the bag for him already at this stage in the game. It's going to be near impossible to try and catch up, as these cars, you can't really adjust the final gear ratio. So you can adjust the first gear, so you can actually control a lot better launch speed. But that final gear ratio, every car tops out at the same speed, so it's usually about 188 kilometers an hour. Oh, Sami's gone wide big time. That was an opportunity for Gallen to get in, but he almost could have slid straight back into him. So Gallen quickly went into a defensive mode and got away, and then that's put him into a slower line around that next bend. So Sami now has an opportunity to be able to close that gap on him again. That lead for Azuro now getting ahead to 7.5 seconds. Unless there's a mistake made by Azuro, and happens to get a chance to be able to start lapping some cars before towards the end and gets caught up in any traffic, this will be his race. I think these two are going to... Ooh, locked up by Gallen. We saw him do that the other lap around as well. And we have Sami locking Gallen 350 into his sights. Gallen is getting away slightly there, but he's locking this car up a fair bit coming into the corners. Brake pressure potentially being a little bit too high. See if he locks it here again. Oh, Sami a little bit too quick. That's going to cost him a little bit of time. He's corrected it okay. That's allowed Gallen to now sneak away. Weaven 777 following up in 4th position. He's 3 seconds behind Sami. If Gallen can further his lead over Sami and then not make a mistake, once he gets that 2-second advantage, that's when that slipstream will be gone. But there won't be much chance. 5 laps in, half the race is gone, and the Zero has already brought that lead out to 6.5 seconds and quickly closing that out to 7 seconds. Check out the lines here. This is a big dip, so you can see that car suspension takes quite a hit in that dip, and then with the very low aero downforce, with the lack of the wings, they only have those 2 side wings covering the radiators. The cars are very flighty once you get on the curb. You've got to be very careful with that exit speed. They are just big go-karts. And a few of our drivers in this championship as well do race go-karts in the real world as well. A very nice line by a Zero. These cars really are a perfect glove for a Zero. He's been a very fast driver throughout our series with Apex eSports League, but just the very consistent, accurate driving that Zero has displayed in the Formula Rookies has been very great to watch. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to get too much coverage of him during the race, as he's gotten that lead out very quickly and then just running a race on his own, essentially just doing time trials in the end. But he has run wide, so he's taken a time penalty as well, but that's going to be fine. A 1 second time, 2 seconds, so he must have cut around a chicane. But he can afford a 2 second penalty at this rate, as that's only going to drop him down to 5 seconds at the time of crossing the line. We have lost Disfigured Souls. I assume that's you disfigured 666 in the stream. So he's just had a power cut out. Oh, that's unfortunate. Hopefully you'll be able to get back in for session 2. So a few time penalties across the board. We can try and catch back up. He's trying to close that gap in on Gallen still. Zero is still pushing that lead out. That 2 second time penalty is not going to affect him much at all. He can easily afford to take a couple of those. He's still struggling. Gallen slightly ahead. It's about 1.5 seconds lead. Demon Effects recovering quite well. He's now moved up into 5th position. Yeah, would be raging too. Disfigured. It's always bad when you get a disconnect like that. Massimo looking to get as much speed onto this car. So he still has an opportunity to sit in on Demon Effects' slipstream. So these cars are only a 4-speed car. Oh, that's cost him big time. Here's a normal. Thanks for joining us. Hello there. So fuel loads looking fine for the cars. May check out. Yes, so plenty of fuel. Starmie's still trying to catch up on Gallen. Gallen was locking those brakes a fair bit Not sure if they are catching up on some cars at the moment. No, that is a 0 just up ahead. They may be catching up to some... There must be a 0 just up ahead of them there. I'm trying to figure out where they are on the map. There they are, trying to close that gap, but he still has that 8-second advantage. 2 laps remain. 0 will have this race in the bag. There's no pressure for him here. It'd have to be a very fatal mistake. That would have to completely wreck his car to not be able to win it at this stage. He could afford to take some minor damage and it wouldn't affect him. Oh, right up over that ripple strip. Oh, I think we're going to see a pass here. Coming up into the chicanes. Can he get a nice line, have an advantage over Gallen? Oh, big exit speed, straight down through that dip. That is very tight. Here he is. He's on for a shot. Gallen feeling some pressure. Lap 8. Oh, big lock. That's going to cost him, but he's going to turn nearly back in onto Sami. Sami having to hit on those brakes to allow room for Gallen to get back in. A lot of understeer going into that second last turn and into the chicanes for the last turn. Oh, very nice line by Sami. That's going to put him out for a very nice exit speed. Gallen gets away a little bit quicker. He can tuck in here for some good top speed. Tap of the brakes and then feather it through here. Big slide, broad. Very nicely done by Sami. Some very fast driving, good control of this car. Another big fast bend. He can get that rear to slip out just a little bit as well. I think Sami's gonna definitely be on the podium here, so he's got a little bit of safety. There's about 12 seconds between him and 4th place. Sami does have a time penalty, so he's got to get ahead of Gallen and then actually shave that time out. Sami's got 4 seconds, so he needs to be able to get ahead of Gallen and further that lead to 4 seconds. So he's going to have to be very cautious here. It's not going to be an opportunity for him to be able to actually steal away a position. So a risky move here could definitely see a bad end to the race for Sami and Gallen. So they're going to have to be very careful. Hopefully Gallen can see on the time board. Some drivers don't have a lot of the heads-up displays. I always like to have the leaderboard up so you can actually see just what the time second penalties are, so you can try and play it safe with deciding what to do. These two coming up for their last lap. A race leader well ahead now with a lead of 10.5 seconds. He has a 2-second time penalty. It's not going to be an issue for him. Slappy Kiwis head into the pits. Oh, he's exiting the pits now, so he's obviously taken some damage. I think that's Weaven that's just come along there. Yes, Sami is slipping behind. He just needs to sit comfortably now and tuck in behind Gallen and just ride this last lap out. So we'll jump on board for a victory lap with a 0. Not a lot going on with the rest of the field. It's most of the action usually is happening all in the mirrors of a 0. We don't get to see how well he has usually been driving. We just see that time just increase further and further every lap. It'll be a 0 and Gallen and Sami for 1, 2, 3 for the first race of round 3. 0 can take this very easy. Coming up onto the back straights. Into the chicane, ready for the last turn. Here we have a 0 for another victory. That is 5 consecutive victories for a 0. Well done. Race complete. Congratulations on the top of the podium for a victory. Gallen and Sami coming up for 2nd and 3rd. So if Sami did get ahead, that would not have helped. He would have been pushed back into 3rd position anyway. So congratulations, Gallen and Sami. And for Weaven as well, wrapping it up in 4th position. So joining the series late. So this is his first entry into the Formula Rookie Cup after having a stint of not driving. So well done, Weaven, with a 4th finish. And Demon Effects, good recovery after starting in a very good position and taking on Gallen pretty early. But then, I'm not sure what happened. It was going to have to be checked for the incident reports in the replays. Simo Simsel comes through in 6th position. Jeffries in 7th. The time penalty not affecting as they both had that. DG coming up in 8th position. So there's a minute left to get the last laps done. Ooh, runs off wide. Where is he here? He's on the back straight. He's got time to get this last lap in. Not sure where Slappy Kiwi is in the scheme of things. Oh, this is... So he's a lap down at the moment. So we did see him serve a drive-through penalty, and then we did see him into the pits again. So Slappy Kiwi crosses the line, taking 9th position. So it just leaves DG coming up the straight, finishing in 8th position. Well done to all drivers. Was a great race to see. And results for race 1 of round 3 at Zolder. We have a 0-143 taking the victory with, I think he's also taken the fastest lap by the look of it, so 1:48.659. So a very good start for a 0. A pole position, a race victory, and fastest lap. So well done to a 0. So also on the podium is Gallen 350 in 2nd position, Sami in 3rd, followed by Weaven, Demon FX, Simo Simsel, Jeffries, DG 0787, and Slappy Kiwi. So hopefully we will be able to see Disfigured Soul get in for the next session if his power gets back on. So hopefully we do see you be able to get in late. It'll be good to see you back on track. So drivers will be having about a 9-minute break. So we'll be back in probably about 8:37 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Time. So there will be a counter on the screen, so we're usually back around by the time that counter gets down to 0. So stay tuned if you haven't yet hit that follow button. Be sure to do so, and we'll be back soon, ready for the next session. So we head off into a 15-minute qualifier and then the main race, which is 20 laps around Zolder, and we have the mandatory pits, and pit strategy being a crucial element in the race. So stay tuned and we'll be back with you shortly. And we are back for session 2, so about to head off into a 50-minute qualifier. Game time is 1 PM, weather's medium cloud, and of course Zolder is in Belgium, even though it was actually showing it was in English in Britain when we were just at the results screen, strangely. But there is 4.01 kilometres with 10 turns around the track, as you can see, and it is very ruthless with the time penalties. The cutting those chicanes is quite common. And Zero quick to get out on track. So if you didn't join us for the first race, we saw in that first qualifying session as Zero take pole position. He got away to a very quick start in the race and then put that lead on very quickly. And as I was mentioning, in these cars, slipstream is what really makes your cars be able to keep pace with each other. Once you get ahead enough to break that slipstream, these cars, since they'll top out at the same speeds and not being able to adjust that final gear ratio, you don't have a speed advantage over the other cars. So if you can then keep that consistent pace once you get ahead enough, you will have that advantage just to continually get away from the rest of the field. And Zero has done that through and through in each of these races so far. We've had 2 races in each round. This is round 3. So he's now taken 5 race victories. So we have yet to have anyone take a victory in this championship yet. So can we have one of these other drivers put a bit of pressure and have a good fight with a Zero tonight? We'll make our way through the list. And don't forget, if you're joining us for the stream, use those sound effects. Jump in the chat, say hello, let us know who you think will be taking the pole position and the race victory. There's a GG 0787, a little bit slippery as he comes around that turn. Jeffrey's just exiting the pit. Some terrible camera. Oh, and he's going to be coming out of the pits just as as Zero's comes around. Not sure what's going on with Jeffrey's at the moment. There he is. We just had DG go off track. He's just had his lap time invalidated. Weaven, being a late entry into the Formula Rookie Cup, did very well and finished in 4th position in the opening race for round 3. And Weaven is a very consistent driver, so I'm sure now that he's gotten used to this car and probably made a few more fine tunes to that car's setup, he's probably going to be a force to be reckoned with. And he does do very well in the longer stint races as well. So, as well with the endurance style. Slappy Kiwi, and he looks like he's got Gallon 350 sitting right on his tail. Demon Effects did actually, talking to him in the lobby in the break, did actually go off and take some damage. He made contact with the wall early on in that first sector of lap 1. So that saw him, after getting that very good start at the race, he did recover back into midfield after dropping nearly towards the back of the grid. And we saw Sami and Gallon. Oh, Jeffrey's getting a little bit broad on that last corner. He recovered that nicely. So some good battles going on between Sami and Gallon 350. Oh, very broad. Those tyres are still quite cold. And Slappy Kiwi did jump the gun at the start of the race, so he got a drive-through penalty, so that's why we didn't see him in the pits on the lap 2. DG very broad. Oh, doesn't recover in time. Does a 360. And off he goes again. Won't be a very effective lap for him, but luckily not taking any damage and having to bring that car back into the pits and waste precious qualifying time. There's just under 10 minutes remaining of qualifying. First lap's coming through. Zero with a 152.16. Sami following with a 155.39. And Demon Effects with 157.12. Gallon with a very conservative opening lap. As I was talking about just before we got into the start of the race, about fuel loads and adjustments to block off a lot of the cows so that the radiator openings are all closed up, just to remove as much drag on the car and get that a lot of extra speed. So Zero running quite a little bit heavier than Gallon this time around. Army running a very light load as well, running under 5 litres. Demon Effects also slightly heavier. There's already a bit of debris coming out of that chicane that's going to prove to be a little bit slippery coming out of there until a few more cars have gone through and managed to scatter a bit of that debris back off track. And Jeffrey's there. We've seen that car get very broad, so he's running a very light load of fuel. So you do need to be quite cautious that you don't run too light. Sometimes going a little bit heavier will actually get a little bit more speed, as you're going to have a lot more weight being pushed down and increasing that contact patch from the tyres. Especially when the tyres are quite cold. So Jeffrey's having to correct a fair bit of oversteer, just because that rear tends to be sliding out a fair bit. So I think a bit of so you could potentially be able to shave a little bit more time off, actually increasing that fuel load just a little bit more. A couple more litres of fuel, could potentially see a second or two shaved off. So Slappy Kiwi running a little bit heavier than the others, for 10 litres. So that should get him at least a good 4 or 5 laps. Oh, even bouncing the car through the chicane. And that did just invalidate that lap for him as well, so that did actually count as exceeding the track limits. We cut that chicane just a little bit too much. And he's running quite low on fuel, but he probably would have started with about 5 litres, I would assume, with currently sitting with 3.7. And DG running relatively light on fuel as well. Don't forget, down below we have our addresses for our social media links. If you're joining us for the stream and haven't yet done so, hit that follow button. We'd love if you can show our support to us. And we've also got the Apex eSports League Android app. If you head to our Facebook page down below, fb.com/Apex eSports League. There'll also be a link to the app. Otherwise, if you just search in Google Play Apex eSports League, you'll see our logo and the app is in there. It will have all links to our pages, results, rules, and even a chat group in there as well. And then there's also our event calendar and all our schedules showing in there, so you can be informed as to when we are racing. And if you want to get involved in our racing, there's also information in there. Otherwise, oh, there's contact. So Slappy Kiwi got nudged by Zero. That's going to be costly for both of them. That was a little bit unfortunate. Not sure what happened there. That's probably damage. There's 5 minutes remaining. It'd be good just to bring that car back into the pits now and get out for another lap. It's unfortunate for Slappy, as he was just about to finish up this last lap, so it's not going to be a better time. So that slowed him out to a 2:10, and then you see he was doing his last lap at 1:57. It's unfortunate for Slappy. And that may have even cost him this time around as well. And if he's facing some damage, Zero's brought that car into the pits. That's unfortunate for the two of them. Zero was just a little bit too quick coming into there, not allowing just for Slappy to get through that corner. But Zero still holds pole position at this stage, a 1:48.816. We saw a 1:48.2, I think it was, in practice and qualifying for the first session. So he's got a little bit more that he can get out of that car. Demon Effects now move back up into position 2 with 1:49.634, so he's 0.8 of a second off of Zero at this stage. While Zero's in the pits, this is opportunity for these guys to try and really shave off these times and see if they can steal away a pole position. Hopefully no errors made by Demon Effects in the race, and then we could see him contend with the top few. In last week's round for round 2 at the Nürburgring GP, Demon Effects and Gallen in that final race, main race of the round. There was some good battles going on between the two. There's Gallen 350 just ahead of him as well. So if Demon Effects hadn't had that bad luck in that race just gone tonight, we would have seen him up there battling it out with Sami and Gallen. It would have made for some very interesting racing with the three of them going at it. And Gallen a little bit off pace. A little bit of time to make up. He was in 1:49s last time. Sami's come through with a 1:48.846. Zero's got a 1:48.816, I think. Zero's going to have to get out there and get that car out very quickly to be able to have another shot at trying to secure that pole position. Not sure if there's been a disconnect, I don't think so. We haven't had disfigured be able to get back in yet. It's very broad. It hasn't cost him the lap though, so that is very lucky. This is going to be a very quick lap for Sami. Sami is on fire. He's very focused at the moment. Oh, a little bit of correction. He's going flat out in this Formula Rookie at the moment. There is no fuel left in it. That's why he's going very slippery around those corners and having to correct that oversteer. He's going to have to be very cautious. The car's going to not want to pull up the slide out. Oh, that's nearly cost him, but will he be able to get a better time? Will he steal pole position away? There's a minute 30 left. I don't get a feed. Oh no, the lap time was invalidated. He's got this lap to be able to try and make up for that. That was very quick. I think he's given up. Yes, he's given up. So it's probably invalidated the following lap as well, yes. So there is no point to him being out. So cutting the track on that last corner is what cost him. So that was a big opportunity for him to be able to steal that pole position away if it wasn't for that little tiny mistake in that last chicane. Unfortunate for Sami, but if he can start from position 2 there, that's going to be very good. He got a very good jump at the start of the first race tonight. Demon Effects he may have enough time to get another lap around. There's 30 seconds before the session completes, and then it gives about 135 seconds, I think it was last time, to finish up last laps. Gallen's improved that pace. He's got that down to 149. And some differences to consider for the different lap times as well. So the qualifying session in session 1 today was game time 10 a.m. in the morning. Weather was heavy cloud. So qualifying session is, at the moment, is game time 1 p.m. Weather was medium cloud to clear. So track temperatures much warmer than it was first off. Oh, it's cost Gallen big time. So this lap will not count for him. So 70 seconds remaining. So Demon Effects has a shot here to be able to improve that time. We also have Slappy Kiwi needing to improve his time. This will be his last time now as he crosses the line. That'll be it for him. That'll just leave Demon Effects. Will he improve that time? No, he doesn't move from the 9th position. So that lap, a 157.637, and his fastest a 156.891. So Demon Effects now brought that car in as well, and Gallen is just chilling on the side of the track at the moment. Just not going to put on a smoke show for us and do some donuts. He usually watches the stream off to the side as well, so he knows when he's being watched and can put on a bit of a show for us. And then we have it, the qualifying for round 3. Azuro takes another pole position, setting up at 148.816, and Sami coming in very close, only 0.030 of a second behind Azuro's time. So Sami starting from position 2, Demon Effects starting in position 3, followed by Gallen, Weaven DG, Simo Simsel, Jeffries, and Slappy Kiwi. And of course, we haven't had Disfigured Soul be able to make it back in for the second session. So heading off into the race now. It's the final race for round 3. Drivers now having a couple of minutes to get those setups all ready for the race. The drivers needing to ensure they change those setups and hit that ready button on their screens. If they don't do it before the countdown finishes, they do get disqualified and sit it out in the pits, so won't have the opportunity to race. But then once all drivers have hit that ready button, it'll jump over and sync up and get ready for lights to count down. There's Slappy Kiwi at the back getting the jump start in race 1 tonight. Hopefully a little bit more cautious, and that won't cost him a big position. As you see those cars jump down, that's them changing a setup. Make our way up the grid. So getting good camera angles for Zolder as we make our way up. So we get zoomed out again here so we can try and get a good view. And watch Sami here, he's had very good starts in this championship so far. So if he can get a very good run here and get onto Azuro pretty quickly, there's good potential that he could get around him pretty quick. And then if he continues that pace that we just saw him doing in qualifying, he could potentially get ahead and start to push that lead out, as then Azuro will be starting to have a bit of pressure from Demon Effects and Gallen 350. And Weaven is one to watch as well. So here we are, syncing up now. We're getting ready to go. Light's about to go green, and off we go, and it's a good start in there. Sami is getting away for a very quick one. I think it's going to be enough for him to get around, because it is a left turn. You do need to get that outside line to get a nice fast line, but Sami can be able to tuck that in. He's playing it very cautious, as Azuro's got that big pace going for that outside line, so Azuro's tucked back in, and Demon Effects just switches back in front of Sami. So that inside line being a disadvantage to Sami. To the two cars on that right start. You see Gallen has also dropped back to 5th position, so that outside line having that advantage. And it is very tight. Looks like a good clean start so far. Oh, and Demon Effects is pushing it onto a 0. They're going to have to give way here. They're too wide in the chicanes. They've made contact. That's just cost Demon Effects. He's just had to swing back out wide. So now that's allowed Weaven and Gallen to get back up ahead. That was unfortunate. That was the first time a Zero's had pressure put on him in this championship, and we are in the middle of the championship, so round 3 of the 5. And a Zero was getting a battle. Ooh, a little bit of lag going on. There's a bit of a skip going on for Zero's car. Hopefully no technical issues. I think it's remedied. Usually the first lap can tend to be a little bit lag. Oh, we've lost some cars. So we've lost 2 drivers. Not sure what's going on. So we did have 9 starting. We've lost Jeffries and Slappy Kiwi. Now only 7 racing. This is unfortunate. We have had 14 cars in the last 2 rounds. We're missing Gina, missing Kakadu. Oh, big broad slide by Demon Effects. That's just cost him some positions. So Gallen's now moved back up. No, Slappy Kiwi is with us. He's in the pits. Did he get a jump or has he taken damage? Not a drive through. He's taken damage. Maybe not enough fuel as well. No, he's got plenty of fuel. That's unfortunate. Ooh, up over those curbs. Sami is really putting pressure on. So now Weaven is in 3rd position. Look how tight it is between these 3. There is half a second between the 3. Oh, that is tight by Sami. A 0 is not going to know what's going on here. This is intense. He's got a sharp corner up here ready for the next hairpin. Oh, it's very tight. A 0 gets away quite quickly. Sami is showing big promise here. Gallen slipping behind these 3. Demon Effects has taken a time penalty. Slappy Kiwi's back out, so don't know if there's been a big buster that's seen these 2 retired. It hasn't come up saying that anyone has done it. So Sami's big improvement on last time. But a 0 starting to slip away, so that 1 second. So as I've mentioned before, I know, Simo, that's unfortunate, mate. That's how we've lost Simo. So he's on the stream, he's mentioned that he got hit in behind and had 99 engine damage, so having to retire from the race. We've lost Jeffries as well. The critical damage for Simo being taken out only in the opening laps. There'll be one to be reviewed, so when you join us for our streams, don't forget to follow our Facebook page down below. When the results and standings get posted, any incidents will be reported on, so you can see what happened in the events. A 0 starting to slip away now on Sami. He is furthering that lead, but he was feeling pressure for the first time out of all these races. Gallen's just snuck ahead of Weaven. think Weaver may have made an error and just allowed Gallen to get around. Now Demon Effects is honing in on Weaven as well. Can Demon Effects get around him? Oh, that is close. They nearly cut. There was nearly contact with the tyres. It would have been disastrous for the two. But Demon Effects was too quick in that corner, costing him some time. That made him then slip behind. At this stage, it's all up to Sami to try and get ahead of Azuro. With what we saw Sami pulling in qualifying. Oh, nice line through there. I'm not sure if that's cutting it off. Oh, I think that's Gallen just taking out one of those bollards. So he's brought that lead back down. Zero feeling some pressure. He's just hit one of the bollards as well. He hasn't been used to this. By the time we were approaching lap 5 in race 1 tonight, Azuro had a 6-second lead. So he hasn't even been able to get that out past 1 second yet. We'll check differences in fuel loads because it will be critical for the pit stop as to ensuring a victory here. So Zero's car's running slightly lower. Oh, that's costing Sami. Big spin. Can he recover? No damage. It's going to cost him a position. He's going to have to stay there and let the traffic go around now. It's going to cost him big time. He's now dropped down into 5th position. Oh, and I think he's just spun that into the wall. Oh no, Sami. Not able to keep up with Azuro. That was our opportunity for Azuro to be taken down a spot. So now leads by 6, and it's nearly 6.5 seconds. Big advantage here. So unless there's an error goes on in pitting, or a significant mistake done by Azuro, it's going to be difficult for Gallen to try and catch up now. So it will have to be a battle for the rest of the podium. Don't forget, if you join us for the stream, hit that follow button so you can be notified when we do go live, and we appreciate the support to try and help grow Apex Esports League. Thanks Fast Fret for using those sound effects. Have some fun with those effects. Ooh, locking that rear right up by Gallen. That's going to allow Weaven to try and close in. Demon Effects also looking to get around Weaven at this stage. So Demon Effects is currently wearing a 2-second time penalty. So he would have cut a chicane and not obeyed the slowdown afterwards. Over the longer stint races, it's usually not too much of an issue. And there was some time penalties thrown in the sprint race tonight, and didn't seem to lose any positions by way of time penalties. So you usually do see that when it does occur in those shorter races, as the drivers usually much more closely finishing near each other. The drivers that did finish near each other were both wearing time penalties, so we didn't see any position changes at the finish line. Yeah, that is right, Fast Fret. There was some great pressure being put on by Sami to Azuro. He was our hope at this stage of the race to be able to really put it onto Azuro and steal it away from him. And then there was some little mistakes being made by Azuro. He was feeling that pressure. He's had it too easy in the last 5 races. He hasn't had anyone in those mirrors to be cautious of. So for those first 4 laps, seeing Sami right on his tail, he would have been having a fair bit of sweat. Zero now leading out by 7 seconds. Let's see, Gallon off in the distance there. We might be having some bitrate issues, I think. Fast threat. So we were experiencing a little bit of lags. Hopefully Twitch will rectify that and things will smooth up a little bit more. Demon Effect still holding that pace behind Weaven, so he's half a second behind him at the moment. And here's where we've seen the cars struggling at the moment. We've seen Demon cut there before, and that's how he got his time penalty. And Weaven showing much quicker pace through that chicane. Really struggling with those chicanes at the moment. He's doing quite well. Ah, that's you, Ezra. Multiple accounts. Oh, I think Demon Effects was just going out to spin out there. A little bit of an oversteer. He had to correct that. That's cost him a little bit of time from behind Weaven. That'll allow a little bit of pressure to be eased off. I'm not getting sector data, so I can't see just how well each of them are doing in different sectors. Still trying to catch up that ground. It's almost halfway through. Zero doing very well, so he's now got that lead out to 8 seconds. So he did have that by lap 5 and 6 in the race just gone. So it took him a little bit longer to try and get that lead. If Sami hadn't have made that crucial mistake, I think he would have potentially have gotten past a 0 at this stage. Walker. Fastest lap times. 0 set at 1:48.754. Fastest lap by Gallon isn't too far off that. And his last lap was a 1:49.787, and the rest of them are all about a second behind, so they're all about a second off pace at the moment. Ah yes, those sound effects, yeah, can be a 30-second delay. It adds a little bit more if you've used a couple as well. So it prevents people being able to spam sounds. It's Gallon definitely not being able to have a shot at having a crack at a 0 at this stage unless a mistake is made. Current pace is a little bit off from a 0, so if he continues at this rate, it'll take a little while. Demon Effects and Weaven still looking to be able to get around Weaven. They're about on par with each other at the moment. Compare their times while we've got too much of a gap. The Demon Effects last lap 0.1 of a second faster. And we have Demon Effects fastest lap 0.7 faster. Oh, there's contact. I think there was a touch. I think there was contact to the rear. Demon Effects came into that chicane a lot quicker and a much better line than he'd done those last couple of laps. And Weaven was a little bit off on that line and was a lot slower through. So Demon Effects had that very golden line straight through. And I think he did not expect Weaven to be exiting just that much slower. Maybe he shocked himself as to how quick he went through as well. And I think there may have been a little bit of touch to Weaven's rear tyre and Demon Effects' nose cone. So luckily nothing happened there. It's nothing that would warrant a penalty anyway, so it's not going to affect them. Sami currently sitting in 5th position. Very disappointing for Sami after sitting in 2nd with a great battle, putting that pressure on a 0. Hopefully over the next 10 laps he can cover some more ground. So he's got another 12 seconds before he catches up with Demon Effects. Demon Effects does have a 3-second time penalty. So once the cars start peeling off to serve their mandatory pits, yes, that's right. There's a Simo with him taking that hit to the rear and then copping 99 engine damage. And there isn't mechanical failures for these, so it's not critical, but the car basically turns into like it's running a whippersnipper engine and will not get around. And it's not usually worth the potential 6 to 10 minutes to get the car back to the pits. We saw that happen with Sami in race 2 last week at the Nürburgring GP after Strasbourg. Came in and took the rear contact against Sami's car and then sent the thing flying into the air, and it was a complete write-off. They're ending Sami's race pretty early on. So Gallen and DG now serving their mandatory pits. So Gallen opting to pit midway. A 0 strategy seems to be that he pits as late as possible. In round 1 in the main race, he did actually pit on the second last lap. It was almost, didn't look like he was even going to peel off into that. So if you don't serve that mandatory pit, it's a disqualification. So you need to remember to make sure to get in. The race engineer will be yelling at you a fair bit to remind you to get in and do that pit. Demon Effects and Weaven now running 2nd and 3rd. So their opportunity to try and push a fair bit of pace out of these cars while Gallen's peeled off into the pits. Try and get ahead a little bit more, and if they can do a quicker pit stop. Oh, it's a balk there by Weaven. Demon doing the same thing before, almost making contact to the rear of Weaven. And then locking up to try and avoid that contact, spinning out. Weaven now probably having a sigh of relief to not have Demon Effects sitting in his mirror. Weaven now putting 5 seconds over Demon Effects, and Demon does have that penalty. Sami's also taken a time penalty as well, so he's now at 1 second. DG's taken a 10-second time penalty. So Sami is in the pits at the moment. So serving his mandatory pit. So DG's time penalty would have been speeding in the pit lane. You're usually doing up to 10 kilometres over the pit speed limit of 60. You'll see yourself wearing a 10-second time penalty. Heading in, I think, at around the 30-kilometre mark, you can see yourself wearing a 50-second time penalty, and that is very costly, especially when you're setting laps of 1:50 around this track. That's something you cannot afford, so you do need to make sure you remember to hit that pit limiter. Another way, if you are very forgetful, and I've done it plenty of times driving on these, is that if you don't actually have the option and assign a button, the game will actually automatically apply it on and off on pit entry. However, you still do need to ensure when entering into the pits that you shave that speed off enough before you come into the pit entry cones. You see those red cones there? If you don't have that speed at 60 before crossing that line, that's when you will potentially have a disqualification or see yourself wearing a very hefty time penalty. The Zero lap 13 now leads by 12.5 seconds. Weaven does need to go into the pits. Demon Effects also needing to get in and serve his mandatory pit. So he's now 5 seconds behind Weaven. I'll try and cover some of that lost ground after that error, avoiding contact with Weaven. He's going to have to hopefully have a quicker pit stop than Weaven. We'll just see how they are going for fuel loads. So Weaven is running at 9.9 litres. That'll be enough fuel to get him around for another 7 laps. And then Demon Effects running 9.8. So fuel won't be an issue. It'll be whether they opting to change tyres. Yes, it's a very good thing to if you are bound to forget, just unassign a button for the pit speed limiter. It's when you got all those buttons and remembering all the different things, it's very easy to forget. Gallon, having already been in, served his mandatory pit. He can try and cover some ground. He's got a fair bit to try and catch up. I'm guessing it's probably adding about 30 seconds to lap times for their pit stop. So they can just do that stop and go if they don't need tyres, don't need fuel. Just stop and release. You can usually get in and out. I'll jack the car up and then release, and that's usually about 5 seconds. It does vary. Sometimes it can be a couple of seconds, sometimes you can be held a little bit longer. It is varied. The game Project Cars 2 is very odd with the pits. Usually a lot of mistakes occur, especially if you don't have those setups right. As you go in, you can find yourself in all sorts of trouble, especially we find that in the wet races. We find drivers usually having to pit several times on different occasions to get those wet tyres on or off. So it can cost you a race when those errors occur. And you can actually change the game settings to allow pit errors, so they can have it where they've got a fuel cable stuck or they've dropped a nut and having to find it. All sorts of different little things You can add that in to make things interesting, however it just usually is annoying more than anything. If we could actually see what is going on with those errors, it would be exciting to watch for a stream point of view, but we don't see that, so it would only just frustrate the drivers. Yeah, as most times if I had a good strong chance at taking a pole position, it was usually taken away because I've managed to speed through pits in qualifying and taken that grid place penalty. So it's always frustrating to lose a very fast lap just by forgetting to hit a button before getting out of the pits. The demon effects and Weavens still need to peel off as well. They're probably going to see how much time they can cover. They may just even wait for a Zero to pit as well. But since a Zero tends to pit in those last couple of laps, they may want to start considering pitting in, especially if a bit of fatigue setting in. Spending a little bit of time just to have that break by not having to focus so hard and get into those pits. Take a chance to stretch, have a sip of water. It can be quite good to get that focus back on. So we'll have a look and see how they're doing for those last lap times. 1:43 has set a 1:49.937. Weaven 1:53.48, and not too far off his demon effects, 1:53.80. Gallen at 1:57.19. Zero still showing some very fast pace, and you can see the last lap, the fastest lap set by any of the cars was Sami, and even his best lap is a 339. So it's very consistent pace, and it's very unfortunate. If Sami definitely did not have that mistake that cost him to spin out, he would have definitely had a shot at actually taking a win for this race for sure. If not, at least had put some huge pressure on a Zero and came in for a very close second. So very unfortunate for him. We'll make our way towards the back, so there's 4 laps remaining. DG's only on lap 13, so he's 3 laps behind at the moment. Over to Slappy Kiwi. His last lap of 1:57. Currently on lap 14. Rounding up lap 15. Gallen's just ahead of him. He's got 2 seconds till he can catch up to Gallen. So if he can close that gap a little bit more, he's going to be starting to get the advantage of Gallen's slipstream. So Gallen will quickly see Sami, and especially with those times that we were just comparing on the board just a moment ago. Sami's got the very strong race pace at the moment, and he has been in and pit as well. So if he keeps this pace up over 4 laps, he could easily take a position away from Gallen. It would be very advantageous for Sami. Sami's sitting 4th in the championship currently on 142 points. Gallen 350 is in 3rd position with 163 points. So taking a position away from Gallen would definitely help him with those points and be able to definitely stay ahead. So his next competition was Kakadu 2, 133 points, and he's unable to make the remainder of this championship. So he's only able to make the first 2 rounds. He's had to head off for an operation, so he's not able to be able to race for a fair few weeks yet, so we won't be seeing Kakadu for a little while. So we wish Kakadu all the best on a very speedy recovery. I heard he's doing well. Everything went well, so hopefully he will be all up to racing form again, be able to see him in these races. Zero now leading by 15 seconds. He's doing very well. And Weaven sitting pretty safe at the moment with a 10-second lead over third position. So Demon Effects being 10 seconds behind, but also wearing a time penalty of 3 seconds. Gallon's got about 21 seconds behind Demon Effects. However, Gallon has pit, and a Zero, Weaven and Demon do need to head off into the pits over these next 2 laps. So Gallon will be able to potentially reclaim a position or 2. I don't think he's going to have enough to be able to get ahead of Weaven, but I think he's definitely going to be able to take that position away from Demon Effects. And if not, if he can sit in just behind him and just tail him for the remainder of the race, he'll be able to steal that position away by Demon's time penalty. And that's also something for Sami to be aware of. He's also wearing a time penalty. So once he passes Gallon, he needs to then further that lead out to make up for that time penalty. And Demon Effects just peeled off into the pits. If we can see him anywhere. Here he is into the pits now. I don't think they're doing a tyre change. No. Will it be just a quick stop and go? Yep, off he goes. That is a very quick release. It's a very dog-legged pit exit as well. So you can see on the map there, that red line, long pit straight, is the pit exit. Oh, this is going to be very tight. You can see the 2 dots coming. The arrow is Gallon's car. He's going to be coming out just there. Gallon just gets around. Oh no, he's just come out just in front of him. But Gallon's got a lot more speed going around that first turn. All side by side. This is going to be interesting. Gallon's got to remember, Demon does have that time penalty, so it's not worth getting into an altercation with him and making contact. It's going to cost him big time. It'll throw the race. He doesn't need to get overly defensive and risk making contact with Demon. He sees Demon get quite aggressive on some attacks, then let him get through and then just hold that pace behind him and let that time penalty be the cost. So Zero's now just pit in as well on lap 19, so he's done his usual last lap pit. He's got plenty of time to make up for it. Weaven's just past him, so he's now in first. But Weaven does need to pit as well. So Zero is back out on track. We get some very strange time figures once the race leader has peeled off into the pits. It was saying he's a minute 50 behind, so he's only now 15 seconds behind. So I think he will be safe once Weaven's peeled off into the pits, but if Weaven can get a ripper of the lap here, push that lead out. It does seem to be declining though. Zero's got that pace on him. All the cars' pace is actually slowing up a fair bit at the moment. So fatigue setting in. The drivers were mentioning in the lobby in the break that they were quite exhausted just after the 10 laps in the sprint race. But doing a full 20 laps around here is going to be taking its toll on them. Physical and mental fatigue playing in. This is where errors can occur, and a brilliant race lead can be ending in disaster just by one little mistake. The Zero here cannot afford to take it too easy. So Weaven's just peeled off into the pits. And here comes a Zero coming into the chicane for the last turn. You can see the white dot behind there. No, Zero is going to have it over him very easy, so he's going to be passing just now. Zero retakes that lead, so he's going to be very safe for a race victory here unless he does a massive accident. Ooh, a little bit of slip going on. That car is very light in fuel. He's only just ran enough fuel to be able to get a lap around. He may be able to scrape through just under a litre. I think I'll try and remember to bring that up just before he crosses the line. So Weaven's pulled out of the pits into second position. Gallen's in third position. Demon still sitting up behind. But for last lap, Demon needs to get a big pass. And then get ahead very quickly. It won't be able to be done in one lap. The positions we're seeing now, I'm pretty sure is how it will finish. And the Zero's car, very flighty. So, a brilliant drive by Zero. This is going to be his 6th consecutive win in the championship. No one else has had a chance at standing at the top of the podium. Here comes a Zero into the last turn chicane. No, fair bit of fuel, so he did not have to conserve it all. Very wide, here he comes, wrapping up lap 20, finishing round 3 with another double win, double pole. Congratulations, Zero. That's just about got the championship in the bag. I think if he continues at this rate, he's going to have to do pretty badly in the last 2 rounds to lose his spot at the champion. Weaven going for a nice long approach across the line, having a bit of fun. Here's Gallen rolling it up in third position and Demon Effects in 4th. Well done, especially to Weaven being a late entry into the championship. And unfortunate for Sami, I think this race was a win for him at the start. That little mistake costing him dearly. But to recover down into 5th position, that is still a good result for Sami. So look out for Sami next week at round 4. And that's at the Red Bull Ring GP, so over to Austria. 45 seconds remain for the last laps. We have Slappy Kiwi and DG. Lock of the brakes. Coming into the chicane. Both all going to get all across the line in time. Well done, Slappy taking 6th position. DG, well done in 7th position. There we have it, the conclusion of round 3 at Zolder. We have a 0-143 yet again taking a victory. And Weaven 777 also on the podium in position 2. Gallen 350 in 3rd position, followed by Demon Effect, Sami, Slappy Kiwi and DG. And losing disfigured from a power disconnect. We've also lost Simo Simzel from the episode at the start as well. So unfortunately losing some extra drivers. And the fastest lap of the race also goes to a 0-143 with a 148.530. So that is some very fast driving by a Zero, which we've seen throughout this series so far. So next week we head off over into the Red Bull Ring GP. So as I mentioned, over to Austria. It's going to be a very interesting track with these cars. That's very well suited yet again, very fast, very technical. It'll be very exciting. Hopefully we get a few more of our regular drivers that haven't been able to make tonight's race, and then it'll be the same layout as well. So 2 sessions, one with the sprint race and then the main race. So thanks for joining us for the stream. Be sure to hit that follow button. Check out our social media links, also our Android app. There's all information there to be able to keep up to date with all our results and standings for our drivers and any incident reports. It will be interesting to see what happened with Simo's car being taken out in the first corner on lap 1 of that race then. So be sure to stay tuned, and if you want to catch any of our past broadcasts, you can head over to our YouTube, and all our past broadcasts are saved to there. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time on Thursday for round 4 of the Apex Esports League Formula Rookie Cup. Thank you.